What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Well, the legacy cabinets have begun to ship. Those that have their cabinets, I think for the most part, are happy. They're satisfied with their purchase so far. Time will tell. And those of us who maybe waited a little too long are still waiting. So I wanted to review the legacy cabinets themselves and why did I choose the one that I chose. So I thought initially I would really go for the Capcom cabinet. I thought that, I think overall Capcom is my favorite publisher for video games in general. But when I looked at the artwork, I liked the artwork. It was the games list that kind of got me. So you got Street Fighter 1. Okay, that's really, not the popular game. Street Fighter 2 is the one that everyone loves. And then there's 5 versions of Street Fighter 2. Darkstalkers, which is a really cool fighting game. Strider is a good platformer. Commando and Final Fight are your beat-em-ups. Ghosts and Goblins was a little too difficult for me, so I didn't really get into it. And then 1944 was the vertical shooter, which is a great variety, but the fact that there's 5 Street Fighter 2s on this thing was a missed opportunity. I think you could have had more variety there. So I think that was probably the reason why I didn't go with that cabinet. Atari, that's probably the best looking cabinet of the legacy cabs, but I'm not really nostalgic for those games. Same thing with the Pac-Man. Love the artwork, but I'm not that big of a Pac-Man fan, and there's like 15 different Pac-Man games on that cabinet. So the Midway cabinet is the one that I ended up going with because, well, the artwork is awesome. I missed out on the first Mortal Kombat cabinet that came out, that second gen. And then the games list is pretty awesome. You got the 3 Mortal Kombats, but they're not 3 versions of the same game. They are 3 individual games or sequels. Joust Defender, Rampage, Gauntlet, Paperboy, Rupert Tapper. You got a really good variety here of games, and Midway is a really awesome publisher, especially when it comes to the arcade games themselves. A lot of classics. Good variety here, so this is the one that I decided to go with. So can't wait to get mine in a month or so. So back in the Arcade1Up website, it really comes down to, now that we have those legacy cabinets sort of purchased or pre-ordered, what's left? Well, we got the 4, and I'm not a big Dragon's Lair fan. I love what the game is, the cinematic nature of it. I'm a big Metal Gear Solid fan, also a cinematic game franchise. So I love what it is, what it means to the arcade community, but I'm not that into it. So it really comes down for me, it's going to be the Xmen cab versus the Killer Instinct cab. So let's go ahead and start with the Xmen 4-player cabinet, and this is a beautiful cabinet. It's a great looking cabinet. The artwork is just, it's spot on. They really nailed it. Love the look of this. I love the X-Men game. It's just awesome. 4-player, 6-player, doesn't matter. I'm all about it. Great. So that was almost made this a no-brainer. But then you have to sort of look at what else is going on here. What's the games list? Because, the game itself, the main game is awesome, but what else is going to be included? Captain America and the Avengers was a good game. It's a good platformer. A lot of people's favorites. I understand why. But for me, the characters were too small on the screen, so that was kind of not my taste. And then the third game, the Avengers in Galactic Storm, was not a game I was familiar with. Never played it, to be perfectly honest with you. I went on YouTube and looked at gameplay, and this game looks like ass. I mean, it looks god-awful. It looks like it controls like garbage. So, to me, that's just a wasted ROM to have on this cabinet. Really, really, really sucks. And then the other thing is going to be the same issue I have with my 4-player, Ninja Turtles cab is going to be, when you were in the arcade and you had a 4-player cab, there were 4 controllers that were pretty much evenly spaced from the screen. So you would just walk up to the controller that had the turtle you wanted to play, and you would play that. Or in this case, the character you want to play. Well, what if you're stuck playing, or let's say your favorite character is either Storm, or I believe that is Cyclops, the ones that are on the far left and the far right. You don't have the best viewing angle, you don't have the most comfortable spot to rest your hands, and you're stuck in that position playing that character. I know that's arcade accurate, but I think with this form factor, the characters should all be selectable. So that's going to be kind of rough for someone who is stuck on the ends. First and second players should definitely be in the middle, and then you select the character that you want. And it's tough to see. I'm trying to see on the control panels if that's the case. I believe that is the case. You're going to be, that's the purpose of those different color joysticks, is you're going to be, if you want to control that character, you have to use that player position. So those are some of my thoughts on the Xmen cabinet, goods and bads. Let's take a look at the Killer Instinct cab. Of the two, this is the ugly cabinet. I know this is arcade accurate. I think that part looks great. They're faithful to the art. They're faithful to the blue buttons and all that. That's great. But of the two, if you're going to compare the two, this is the ugly cabinet. It's also another two-player fighting game form factor. We've seen this many, many times. And, I think that, it could just be the rendering on this, but the screen, the 17-inch monitor that I know they're going to use because they use it on everything else, it looks like it's 15 inches in this. And it could just be a poor rendering, I'm not sure. But that bezel around that, 17-inch monitor looks extremely bare. I mean, if you're going to have that much real estate, you need to fill it with something. Character moves, something, pictures of you have to have something there because that just looks very bland. Very bland. And then let's take a look at the game selection. You have Killer Instinct 1 and 2, which are awesome. Battletoads, the arcade version, so that's great. And then I think most of us know that the Easter egg game, the hidden game, is going to be Battletoads and Double Dragon. But that's a console version. I believe that's going to be a Super NES ROM. I hate it when they do that. I have an arcade machine. I don't want to play console versions of an arcade machine on an arcade machine. I think that's a cop-out. I'm sorry. I hate it. I hate it when they do this on, my Marvel vs. Capcom cab. They did the same thing. But the other 3 games besides that are awesome. And I guess technically the bonus game could be different than what we have been led to believe. The game selection is pretty awesome with this, but you're limited to 2 players, and you kind of got what some would consider to be a bland. I'm not going to say this is ugly, but this is bland. It's just black, and the riser is kind of lame. I mean, if you're going to have a riser, why wouldn't you continue that same theme? You have Spinal maybe on the bottom or something. Maybe have Jago, some other, Fulgore, some other characters on the riser. I mean, just to sort of break that up. So, but they both have the coin door decals, so they're kind of similar in that respect. If you've got several 2-player fighting game cabs, are you bored with this form factor? I don't know. Okay, so goods and bads of both cabinets. I'm going to assume that they're going to be around the same price point. So which is it going to be for me? Xmen or Killer Instinct? Which one is it going to be? What am I going to go with? Xmen, Killer Instinct, I don't know, back and forth, and the winner is, for me, it's going to be Killer Instinct. And some of you are going to say, oh, it's a no-brainer. Not necessarily. I think a lot of people are very excited for both these cabinets, and they should be. These are absolute classics. If you're a big fan of the 90s arcade scene like me, that's when I sort of grew up, you can't go wrong with either one of these cabinets. But I think when you look at everything, the game selection on this cab really takes the cake. But let me know what you think down in the comments section below, and I will see you next time.